Chapter 87. Dripping tears mix with black splotches of blood as I sob quietly on the floor, one lower arm clutching the stub of my other in a half-hearted attempt to prevent myself from bleeding out. My fight with Vita left me broken, and I know her biomancer ally will heal off all the damage I managed to do to her. This isn't even accounting for the rest of her team, any of which could easily slay me now. Even if they didn't see where I went, which I doubt, I left a trail of my blood here. Light-headed and woozy, I can barely even think straight. I wonder what it will be like to experience unconsciousness like humans do. This isn't my nest. I don't have a stored meal to retreat to. I haven't had a meal at all Ugh, I could count the days, but I just want to do nothing at all. It's safe here, he told me. Well, I'm here, but I doubt it will be safe. I'm not sure I want it to be. I am so tired. So done. I hear the door to the cabin open. I wonder which hunter is here to slay the monster first? Lark? August asks. Are you in here? My breath catches. No. Not him. Not now. He can't see me like this. Yet I hear him move further inside, closing the outer door behind him. Is everything all right? Of course nothing is all right. I need him to leave. I'm dying, August. Just let me. I try to be as quiet as I can, hoping he'll leave me alone, but a sob shakes out of me. My body, ever the betrayer to my mind. Lark? August calls again. Lark, is that you? Are you hurt? Am I hurt? Just a few bites on any of the hundreds of people I passed on the way here, and I would be fighting fit. Yet I didn't. I can't ever go back, and the thought of even opening my jaws at them crushes my heart. He knocks on the door to the bathroom. Lark? Let me know you're here or I'm coming in. Go away. I snap at him. Before August, I'd never even thought about things this way. I had a plan. But I abandoned it. Why? Lark, what's this on the floor? August asks seriously, once again listening but refusing to obey. He's always been like this. I abandoned the plan because I was happy. He taught me what happiness is. Why couldn't he have stopped there? Why wasn't that enough? I hear him kneel down, investigating the splotches of blood I trailed on his floor. There's a lot more of it now, here in the bathroom. I'm sitting in quite the puddle. It is so hard to think. Lark? Lark. Is this blood? Lark. Go away. I demand again. Leave. There's a pause, the only sound in the house my ragged, slowing breaths. Tell me you're okay, August says, fear in his voice. Or I'm coming in there. I'm not going to lie to August. I can't. But I can tell him something I know is true. You promised you wouldn't come in, I remind him. Not unless I said you could. I also promised this place would be safe for you, he counters. So tell me you're okay, and I will leave you alone. How can I get him to hate me, to leave me to die? The black stuff is my blood, I admit. I'm not human. I never was. Moments later, there's a crash as August slams his body into the bathroom door, breaking the lock. He spots me then, a look of horror on his face. He sees what I am. The last thing I wanted was to know the look on his face when he sees what I am. But he does not flee. He tears his shirt off his body, the slightest splash ringing in the small room as he quickly kneels beside me, staining his pants with my blood. Grabbing my stump of an arm, he starts tying cloth around it, stemming the flow. Why? He smells so good. Stop it, I snarl at him, baring my teeth. Teeth still stained red with a hunter's blood. Why doesn't he run? Don't try to talk, August huffs back, false calm obvious in his voice. Does he think I won't notice? His terror? What is he trying to prove? I try to push him away, but my arms are so heavy. I killed Sharif's family, I choke out, and for an instant he pauses. Good. Leave. Let me die. But just a moment later, he continues his work. Did you now, is all he says, tightening and securing the bandages over my arm before moving the rest of my body. I did, I confirm. I watched the father scream while I ate his wife. My imagination runs wild with similar things I could do to August. I'm so hungry. So cold. He's just an old man, and it would be so easy. That's an awfully cruel and evil thing to do, August opines, and though I already knew it to be true, hearing it feels like an arrow carved open my heart. But he doesn't stop binding my wounds. Then let me die, I beg him. Run away. I can tell you're afraid. I am, he retorts. I'm afraid of leaving you here alone. I'm afraid you'll die before I do. I'm a monster. I shout at him, as best I'm able. You don't know what I've done. No, but I know you, he says firmly. I suspected for a long time you probably weren't human. And it sounds like you have much to be held to account for, if you killed Sharif's family. With one hand, he pushes my chin very lightly up, to help me look him in the eyes. But as far as I'm concerned, you are my family. My eyes go wide. No. No, anything but that. Why? I breathe, fearing I know the answer. Because from the moment I met you I knew you needed one, August answers. How could I not give it to you? You knew so little of the world. You were a child, Lark. And all children need parents, because a child can't be expected to know anything if they are not taught and shown. To love, you must be loved. To grow wise, you must see wisdom. To respect others, you must be given respect. A parent leads by example. If I could not teach you in time to prevent you from making a mistake, then it is I, no. Who, no. Aired. Shut up. I screech, jumping my feet and stepping away only to stumble and collapse again a second later. August catches me, and I nearly bite his throat out. He can't do this. He can't do this again. Don't make me regret this, too, I beg him. He just looks at me with sad eyes, and no weapon in the world could hurt more. You learn too fast for your own good, he says quietly. You were not this mature just a 10 days ago. Time normally helps us process and forget. I don't forget anything, I tell him. I can't. I can't handle anything more. Please. Just leave. Woozy and hysterical, I barely understand myself anymore. Everything is just hunger and sadness and bubbling rage. I hate all this. I hate ever learning any of it. I just want it all to end, I whisper. Let me die. He looks at me again, eyes far too piercing. If you truly wanted to die, he asks softly, why would you have come all this way to a safe place? Because while I hate life, I fear death, and no matter how I try to pretend I'm just as much of a slave to instinct as I was when I was born. None of these words can leave me, though, because as if to prove the point my body erupts again into uncontrollable sobs. Two old arms wrap around me, pulling me into a hug. You have your whole life ahead of you, Lark, August says, and it sounds like a curse. There is yet more good you can do for this world than the good you have taken from it. You must always believe this. You can always grow to be better. And I know you have the potential to be great at anything you choose to be. But why should I have to? A dark thought asks inside me. I did not care before this. I was happy here, with him, but I was happy before, too. I was happy with my flowers and my Claretta and my home long before anyone came by to destroy my things and chase me away. Why should I have to hate myself now for things I loved before? Why does that matter? How is that fair? My wounds drip blacker as my heart starts to beat faster in my chest. It's not fair. It's not right. And it's because of August, the hunger in me sneers. It's his fault, isn't it? All because he had to take me in and be kind to me and make me care until he could show me every way I deserve the torture promised to the worst souls in the world. What sort of kindness is that? What sort of family? Something screams inside me to stop, but as my wounds throb harder and my head feels lighter, those thoughts become less and less distinct, fluttering and fraying as fight or flight replaces them with anger. He broke his promise because he came into this room. And he broke his promise because he hurt me. He's hurt me more than everyone else in my life combined, and now he wants me to hurt more. How have I not seen this? He wants me to spend an entire lifetime, incomprehensible years of existence, in an unending, unceasing torture. He wants me to regret this forever, to hate myself forever, to fight against a memory that I can never unsee. How dare he? How dare he? My teeth clamp down, the oh-so-familiar taste of blood flowing into my mouth. August's body stiffens in shock, but he doesn't release the embrace. My teeth finish cutting through his shoulder, and I swallow. It hurts so much. How dare he? He doesn't have the right. A familiar scent wafts into my nose. The hunter. The monster that kills monsters. She's here. I bite down again, rage to the point of insanity filling my body. She found me. This isn't even a safe place. Liar. Liar. I swallow again, August's left arm going limp, now only able to hug me with half his body. I want to scream. I bite again. There's a slam as something hits the front door and fails to break it. I bite again as the door shatters, a shouting voice entering our once home. I bite again and my missing arm starts to regrow fast enough to tear the makeshift bandages he used to save my life. I bite again, and feel his one remaining arm softly stroke the back of my head. I bite again, and the flesh tastes like ash. Sobbing into the bloody shoulder of a dead man, it takes me a moment to register that the hunter is in the room. Vida stares at nothing, wearing the slightest expression of confusion and bewilderment. Her spear is in hand, but not pointing at me. No attack comes. I leap past her, claws scraping into the wood floor as I turn to bolt out of the building. Glancing behind me, an odd pain hits when I see that she does not chase me. Instead, she kneels down, staring at the corpse I left behind with interest. I turn, fleeing into the forest, and immediately an arrow nearly tears me in two, knocking me to the ground by the sheer force of it passing. What was that? I leap away. An instant later a gout of fire devours the spot I just stood, but as I dodge a sword catches the motion and cleaves through my rib. But still, alas, not enough to kill. Twisting, I grab the arm holding the blade and let the momentum of the strike drag me away from another arrow as I bite down. The flesh is strange and stale and bloodless, attached to a man with no head. But it still tastes wonderful. No time to question it, I take another bite to fill the hole punched through my lung and rush out of the forest, dodging two more arrows that crack the ground less than an inch from my body. Forest apparently hostile to me, I'm nearly blinded by tears as I find myself forced back towards the city. Countless arrows rain from the guard towers as I return, but they lack both the force and the accuracy of what I can only suspect was Netta. So, was the swordsman Alan? How is he alive with no blood and no head? I've no time or real desire to consider it. I avoid or simply claw the barrage of arrows out of the sky and breach the city. Swarms of humans both furious and frightened span this place, kicked into a frenzy by my presence. But they are slow and I am clever. Many of the buildings, both large and small, have no people inside for much if not all of each day. And I must find a safe place to hide, because when I let myself think what I am about to think I will be crippled forever. Inside a two-room shed full of tools, I lock myself in, web the entrance, and curl up in a ball to die. The unforgivable, unassailable weight of what I have done is too much. How could I? No. What a stupid question. Of course this is how it turned out. I am a monster. This was going to happen from the start, and it didn't become any less inevitable just because I loved him. The reality is, I did know. I'm not stupid. From the moment Claretta taught me to speak I understood that other creatures feel things. That they have emotions, that if I were in their situation I would suffer. The thought was just so abstract it was no more noteworthy than the acknowledgement that the sky is yellow. It was a fact I was aware of, not one I gave any significant care or thought. But I knew. I knew when Fulvia screamed, I understood when Claretta wished me death, and I recognized the pain when I made a man watch me eat his wife. I knew. The only thing I truly didn't understand was why any of my atrocities started to hurt. But they do now and they will. Not. Stop. I should not be alive. I should not exist. August was wrong about me. I can't change, I can't improve, and I would not deserve any sort of peace I could acquire from those actions. But I just can't seem to let myself die. Perhaps I'm being kept alive in order to ensure that I suffer more. I suppose I deserve it. It just wasn't enough to eat my first friend's father. I had to go and eat my own, too. The door behind me is suddenly forced open. I relax. The hunter is here. I smell her. Yet I am not running or fighting. Finally, it can end. I wait in silence as she hacks away at my webs, slicing them apart with a blade in raw strength. She walks slowly into the room, closing the door behind herself. And then I find myself cursed once more, as she sits down next to me instead of ending my life. Silence stretches between us, my back to her as I remain curled up on the floor. What is she doing here? Why am I alive? I feel watched, judged, but I can't bring myself to ask. Why do I have to be curious? Really, that failing is what ruined me, not the only man to ever treat me with respect. Eventually, Vida reaches over and grabs one of my ears. She yanks it painfully, eliciting a snarl from me but nothing else. I'm not going to move. I'm not going to do anything. I'm done. Even when she takes her knife and saws the ear completely off, I barely let even a pained hiss escape my lips. Vida hums to herself, pocketing the chunk of my body. All right, then. Yanking on my hair, she pulls me out of my curled-up position on the floor, making me look at her face. Then, she grabs my jaw in one hand and forces it open. With the butt of her knife, she slams down on my teeth. Pain shoots through my skull, but still I refuse to move. After a few hard strikes, she sets the knife down, sticks her hand inside my mouth, grabs the loosened tooth, and starts to pull. Slowly, it tears out from my gums until it is finally free, blood gushing into my mouth as she pockets the tooth as well. I could so easily bite off her hand, but I don't. Not even when she batters and grabs the next tooth, or the next, or the next. Half my skull's worth of teeth later, the monster grins, her eyes as unfocused as ever. There, she says with a hint of self-satisfaction, that should be enough to fake your death. It takes me a moment to register the words, before the horror of them finally dawns on me. No, I whisper, bloody mouth gurgling slightly. You're supposed to kill me. The hunter shrugs. I have been convinced not to, she says. I'm a monster. I snap. I'm not going to do anything but hurt people. Kill me. Vida responds by grabbing my hair again, and shoving her other arm down my throat. The movement is instant, expressionless, and devoid of fear. Food, I think to myself. So close, so easy. Bite my arm off, she dares me, and I will happily slay you here and now. I shiver. Bite down, I order myself. Let it all end. I killed August. Biting her should be easy. I deserve this. She smells delicious, she tastes delicious. I remember the chunk I swallowed from her, how beautiful and rich and dense with power it was. Just bite. Bite. Go on, the hunter presses. I'm waiting. It's a free meal, monster. The horrible certainty in her smile brings tears to my eyes again. I won't. I can't, and she knows it. How? Why would anyone trust me? I don't trust me. She extracts the arm, dropping me back to the ground. Well, that settles that, Vida says smugly. I've killed people before, I hiss impotently. Me too, the hunter dismisses. So what? I have tortured them, I snarl. I've eaten them. Me too, the monster smiles. So what? I have nothing to say to that, so she reaches into another pocket and pulls out what appears to be a dead field mouse. She looks at it, something invisible around her moves, and suddenly I smell the creature with that sense of mind that knows food from fodder. Yet far unlike what I would expect from a mouse, it smells heavenly. Such a big and beautiful soul, my fellow monster comments, stroking the dead rodent lovingly. A deep and gleaming light, smelling of fresh wood. We can't let something like that go to the fucking watcher, can we? I don't know what she's talking about, but before I can ask she holds the mouse out to me, dangling it with its tail pinched between two fingers. A true meal, made from a mouse. How? I salivate. It's just a rat, right? I could eat it. There can't be anything wrong with that. I don't deserve to eat it, but I could eat it, right? Before I know it, she's placed it in my hands. It waits, as if expecting and accepting its fate. It smells familiar. Eat up, she says softly. I have a friend that I think would be very mad at me if I didn't extend to you a bit of solidarity between monsters. She lost her life trying to find a way to get people like you to stop hurting others. If you don't want me to hurt others, I whisper, then you should kill me. Despite my words, I bring the mouse up to my mouth. Something inside me trembles, fearing it's too good to be true. Yet into my mouth it goes. I am missing many teeth, but my teeth are more for cutting and tearing than chewing anyway. I swallow the creature whole, and though I know that it lived, that it could move, it does not resist in the slightest as it is pushed down my throat into my void of a stomach. The usual tingling of regrowth tickles my ears and gums as a memory screams inside me. I know this flavor. What did you do? I whisper in horror. I let him choose, the vacant-eyed monster answers, entirely unsympathetic. He could be with me, or with you. Considering what I have to do to someone to even ask, he must have loved you quite a lot to make this choice. If he came with me I wasn't even going to eat him. I'm shaking, my breath too shallow to take in any meaningful amount of air. This is impossible. How? What? He had some last words for you, Vida continues, tone as flat as ever. 2 things, really. The first is this: justice is not about punishment, it is about making things right. But we cannot make the past right. All we can affect is the present and the future. An evil person's greatest redemption is not in removing their evil from the world, but in replacing it with good. My only response is a wordless wail. Again, I don't understand. I don't understand anything. The second thing he wanted me to tell you, the monster intones, is that he forgives you. She stands up and starts to walk away. No, stop. I don't understand. What did she do to him? What did I just? Why? I sob at her. Why would? I just told you why, she answers. Besides, what was he going to do with half a soul if not complete yours? She makes it to the door and I stand up, turning to face her. What is wrong with you? I shriek at her. She looks back at me, actually focusing with her eyes before tossing a wooden owl mask at my feet. The same one I discarded in our fight. Have fun being human, Lark, she says. It will be night soon. Make your escape then, and don't get caught. If you still want to die, there's always the edge. She exits, closing and locking the door behind her, leaving me alone but for the screams inside my head. I expect the tears to start again, but, ever unpredictable, I find them dry. Numb. My mind is nothing but torment, but my body has given up, racked with an exhaustion beyond any other I have felt. I wish I could sleep, but I'm simply not capable. Each and every moment of this agony lodges itself in my memory forever, brutally slow hours passing until darkness envelops the town. Then I get up. I don't know why. August wanted me to live, but what does that matter? I killed him, and then a monster made me do it again. There is no more August. He shouldn't matter anymore. So I tell myself as I find my feet padding silently through the darkness, mask on my face as I look for ways to leave the city unseen. He shouldn't matter anymore? No. He does, he will, and that is absolutely how it should be. This pain is what I deserve. No sleep, no forgetting, no death. No escape. Not from what matters. I was a fool to try. Though I suppose that Hunter had a point. There's always the edge. Chapter 88. It always feels nice to do a good deed. I walk away from the storage shed with a spring in my step. I admit to being a bit leery to let Lark go, but I'll trust my instincts on the matter. Ultimately, isn't our job as hunters to protect people from monsters by any means necessary, not specifically by just killing them? That kid isn't going to bite another person. No way, no how. Frankly, she's more human than I am now. Maybe not physically, sure, but she's where it counts. That August guy. I was genuinely surprised to feel him die. Once Penelope finally healed me and I chased after Lark, I couldn't help but pause and wait a bit when I sensed their souls. August was not a fighter, not any sort of warrior, and yet he had one of the brightest souls I've ever felt. It reminded me so much of Lynn, his warmth and his love. It was obvious how much they cared about each other. When he died, I don't know, it just didn't feel right to pocket him like I do most souls. He deserved more than that. He deserved a conversation. I am extremely frustrated with his decision, but never let it be said that I'm not fair to those that are mine. Lark's fragmented shell of a soul just needed one more push to be complete, and he wanted to be a part of that. Well, more a part of that. And now it's done. A hollow human soul, completely surrounding the void of her nature. I wonder what that means, what it will do. But unfortunately, I can't stick around to find out because I need to convince everyone else that she's fucking dead. Vida. Ah, speak of the teammate. Orville dashes into view, waving an arm at me. He feels a bit frazzled. Vida, please stop running off. He pants. It's not my fault you guys are all slow, I protest, holding up Lark's severed ear. Job's done. Surprise, confusion, disappointment, guilt? Orville's emotions are strange. Really? On your own? You should have at least let us back you up, Vida. What did you do with the rest of the body? I mean, I didn't raise it if that's what you're asking. What? No, I mean what happened to it. I killed it. I hedge. He sighs, rubbing at the bridge of his nose. Okay, never mind, I'm sure someone will find it. It's definitely dead? The monster is no more, I assure him. That thing won't hurt anyone ever again. Alright, well, good I guess, he huffs, flicking his fingers a bit before firing a piercing whistle of the wind spell up into the sky. Our all-clear signal. You should have still waited for the rest of us. We're a team, aren't we? I mean, yeah, but you guys couldn't keep up, I point out. And I hit it, so it's fine. A pause. He's nervous, worried, uncertain. My eye vaguely recognizes the motion of him sucking on the inside of his lip through my soul sight, his physical form mostly a silhouette. Penelope says you broke your own legs and nearly bled to death, Orville says slowly. I scoff. I wasn't going to bleed to death, I argue. When the bite happened, I wrapped the outside of my leg in tendrils. My blood is still part of me, so they held it all inside. Orville sighs. Penelope told me that you'd probably say something like that, and that if you did I'm to inform you that you're a, quote, useless idiot that knows less about biology than she does about table manners. End quote. I blink. Huh. You do a pretty good Penelope impression, I admit. Thanks, I think. Anyway, you can still die of blood loss even if all of your blood is still inside your body. You had a severed artery. Apparently, whatever you were doing was just pooling all the blood like a giant bruise. You were still going to pass out eventually. Huh, I manage. I guess I'm not as clever as I thought. Speaking of, Orville continues, since you ran off again, you wouldn't happen to have any other injuries, would you? I shrug. Vida, look at me, Orville says firmly. I am looking at you, I insist, a bit confused. No, you aren't. You're looking at a rock or something, I don't know. Vida, are you okay? What is he? Oh, right. I lift my head and meet his physical eyes with my own. I take a deep breath, trying to focus. Right. Physical pain. I pick up and move my leg around a little, wincing as I feel bone scrape bone. Yeah, I might have cracked my legs a little maybe, I admit sheepishly. I'm still getting a handle on this, but I'm okay. I only got bit a few times, and only once anywhere important. Getting chomped on the tentacles hurt like hell, but those will regrow just fine. Only Lark's bite on my leg tore anything out of important parts of my soul, and I'm treating that wound already, breaking shards off of my usual spot and dusting them so my soul can recover the places that matter more quickly. My soul's power flows so thickly through my body now that the Vrothizo bite damaged me much more than it would a normal person, but it was still just one bite. I'll be fine. Orville, however, doesn't seem particularly mollified. He rushes over, holding his arms out like he is about to hug me. I step back. Betrayer. I could always count on Orville to be the least touchy member of the team. I used to be able to count on Penelope, but now she's hugging me too. I guess it's fine in her case, though. Mostly. I am carrying you back to Penelope, Orville insists, his tone brokering no argument. What? I argue anyway. I'm fine, I just said so. He gives me a weird look. Oh hey, I'm still looking at his face. Go me, and tries to figure out how to convince me. Vita, he eventually starts. I have been a dead weight all trip. I got knocked out immediately in the only forced fight that mattered, and I only managed to get one shot at our target which she just fucking backhanded out of the sky. At least let me make Penelope's job easier by stopping you from messing up your legs more than they already are. I scowl, an expression that I stick and keep firmly on my face as my teammate turns around and coaxes me into a piggyback ride. Indignantly, I climb on and he carries me halfway across the city. Penelope, Bentley, and Nora are all there, standing near a guard tower that we agreed upon as our rendezvous point. Oh, hey you two, Nora says, waving. You look cute together. Penelope's face scrunches together in irritation. I blink, not expecting to see Nora so cheerful. I thought she was still mad at me. I am way too heavily armed to be cute, I protest. Also, my legs are probably broken. Did you? Is she dead? Bentley asks hesitantly. Yeah, I got her. Took proof and some souvenirs, too. I wave the severed ear around, to Nora and Bentley's obvious discomfort. Stupid. Reckless. Foolish, Penelope chides angrily, approaching us. Orville, did she try to act like her injuries were no big deal? Yeah, I told her what you said, he grunts. Penelope nods, a bit of anger bubbling up in her. Worry, fear. Something else I don't really want to think about. Alright, put her down, I'll fix her again, she snaps. Orville does as instructed, squatting so he can plop my butt onto the ground. Penelope approaches as she usually does, pulling mana into her soul in order to start casting a spell. And then she slaps me in the face. I blink, stunned. Didn't see that coming, did you? Penelope sneers. Couldn't read my intent? Why would I expect someone worried about me to slap me? I grumble back. Is she already figuring out ways to fool me? No, that's a stupid question, of course she is. You are not invincible, you insufferable, arrogant thing, she hisses, actually starting to cast the healing spell this time. Whatever you are doing to detach yourself from pain, stop. You need to come back and pay attention to the fucking physical, or sooner rather than later I won't catch up to you fast enough to save your foolish hide again. Do you understand? I scowl, tempted to smack her back but I don't actually want to hurt her. Geez. This is a blast from the past. I figured we were done with the slapping. Still, she's probably got a point. Sorry, I managed to force myself to say. Ever since I could just step back and not worry about this stupid body, I've wanted to go back to that. It feels like I'm in a fucking cage, like this nagging feeling that I'm not supposed to be in here anyway. I'm trapped in this gross meat sack that's just too weak and too rigid to do anything. But now I'm suddenly so full of energy. I want to use it. It's, I don't know, a leap forward. A glimpse into whatever I'm supposed to be. I hate holding back, Penelope. It feels like hiding from the truth and it hurts. Penelope lets out an indignant huff of air. The only person that gets to decide what you're supposed to be is you. A pause. And to a lesser extent me, since I own you. The rest of our team immediately gets uncomfortable, but I just roll my eyes. My point is, Penelope continues, whatever it is you're seeking is not set in stone, and you aren't going to get whatever it is if you gallivant off and get yourself killed. Be patient. Think. You can bloody well work through your identity crisis without breaking your fucking legs. Is that so much to ask? I scowl. Fine. I get your point, I grumble. You were much less naggy before you got a crush on me. At least Orville's never been weird about it. Silence. Then Nora wheezes like she suddenly can't breathe and I become surrounded by emotional chaos. Embarrassment, fury, despair, manic joy. Bentley stares with sad puppy dog eyes at Orville, who glances between Penelope and I in mounting horror as Penelope starts turning so red I'm worried her entire head will turn into a bruise. Fine. Penelope all but shrieks. Fine, I'm done. Go get yourself killed, tear your legs to shreds, I don't care. She gets up and starts walking away towards the forest. I think my legs are still broken. I call out to her. Then get someone to carry you. Penelope snaps back. Holy shit, I can't believe you just said that. Nora wheezes, leaning down to lift me up by the armpits. I yelp a little as she puts me up on her shoulders. Fuck, she's so tall, how does she live like this? It's just true, I grumble. I know, Nora laughs. It just really hits home how Vita you are. You know? You've been even more Vita than usual lately. I wrinkle my nose. You say that like it's a bad thing. No. Nora insists, starting to walk after Penelope. Just the way you think differently from other people, it feels like that's been getting more prominent. I don't know, it is what it is. There's bad parts maybe, but there's good parts too. Maybe I just don't want to put in as much effort to pretend to be something I'm not anymore, I answer, shrugging. Honestly, I haven't really noticed. It just feels natural to me. Nora nods slowly. I've been thinking about all that, you know? She says. About how Penelope thinks you're a human experiment. About? I don't know, I guess all the stuff you just said about feeling trapped and wanting to be yourself and stuff. Some bastard shoved a talent in you that you never asked for. That's not fair, that's not your fault. Well, I think it might be a little more complicated than that, I say. My soul is all kinds of weird. But, are we still friends? Of course we are, Vita, Nora insists, and I know she means it. I don't think I can agree with everything I'm afraid you might be doing, but Bentley is right. You're not a bad person. You're Vita. Please stop injuring yourself, though, Bentley chimes in. How long have you known? Orville mutters quietly at me. Known what? I ask him. How long have you known he's had a crush on you, Vita? Nora translates for me, suppressing another chuckle. Oh. I don't know, I shrug. Like a month I guess? It's okay Orville, I don't really care. Unfortunately that just makes him feel worse for some reason, and Nora starts hooting with laughter again. Bentley gives Orville a sympathetic pat on the shoulder. I look around at everyone with confusion. Sorry. I hedge. No. Nora chokes between howls of laughter. You're fine, Vita. Go ahead and let him down easy. And then she starts laughing harder. Well, I guess that's okay. It seems like we've made up, which is really good. I was worried. Nora is a really important friend. We've fought together, saved each other, and helped each other in a lot of places. I really don't want animancy to push the team apart. We start our journey back to Skyhope. It takes a day for Penelope to be willing to heal my legs, and another day for her to talk to anyone without biting their head off. Apparently, publicly announcing other people's crushes is a social no-no. I will do my best to remember that, I guess. Still, my body feels fresher and better, more my own. My team is being less weird about it, even asking me stuff about how my abilities work with genuine interest. They are talking to the Revenants more, with even Nora treating them like people. I'm happy. The trip home is a good one. On the last night of our journey before returning to Skyhope, I wake up in horror to the feeling of Alan being shattered into innumerable pieces, his soul destroyed forever as Nora and Bentley stomp his bones to dust. Chapter 89 I explode into motion, fueled by panic and terror. As is our habit, I sleep when most of the rest of the team is awake to ensure that while the longest range scout is down, we are at our best versus potential ambushes. This time, I had been in a particularly deep and comfortable sleep thanks to Matteo curling around me like a loyal snake monster cocoon. I think I was even having a nice dream for once, though I don't really remember it. This all ends in an instant as Alan's soul becomes dust. Body raging and tentacles writhing, I leap over Matteo's flank and burst towards Nora and Bentley, furious scream ripping itself from my throat. "You fucking monsters!" I shriek, tackling Bentley in the gut. "You dusted him. You killed him permanently." Bentley staggers backwards but catches me without falling, grabbing my comparatively tiny wrists and struggling to fight my soul-enhanced strength. Snarling, I wrap tendrils around his core, causing him to immediately drop me in terror. Should I do it? Do I kill him? No, what am I thinking? It's Bentley. I can't. But why would they do this? How could they do this? Vida. Nora shouts, "Vida, stop. He told us to. Look, I'll show you." She points in front of the body. Oh fuck, he's dust. He's nothing but dust now, my beautiful cake full of swords, and my eyes focus on part of the ground that looks like someone scratched half a conversation with a stick into the dirt. "Hello to you too, Nora. I'm all right, all things considered. Yourself? Strange, but not as bad as you'd think." "I do, yes. Just a nice, normal conversation. Alan can't talk but he can write." There's no one writing back. Nora and Bentley were presumably speaking aloud and waiting politely for the words to be scratched into the dirt. The conversation continues, neat and orderly. It doesn't take long until it's about me. Miss Vida is an odd sort, but a good sort. In general? Well, animancy is illegal of course. I don't think there's any need to worry about Miss Vida. My good, loyal revenants. I know I shouldn't think like that. I know that forcing loyalty on someone is messed up. But I also know that I love it. It's just what I am, I suppose. They are comfortable, they are safe. They are so much easier than normal people. I'm not sure. It just feels wrong to not use a title, I suppose. Nora must have asked about the name. Miss Vida. Honestly, I don't even know why so many of them like calling me that. She saved my life. Should I not be grateful? Of course you should. You're welcome. I suppose that isn't untrue. Why would she be messing with my head? Not on purpose? The fuck is this shit? Are they purposefully steering the conversation towards my revenants being mind-controlled? I explicitly try to not let on. Ugh. I glance up at Nora with my soul eye, physical one still reading. She's scared. No, mortified. She suspected I'd been mind-controlling for a while now and wanted to be wrong. Turns out she wasn't. I just want to live. I know the Watcher waits for me, but when I look at her I just want. Cut off, huh? Didn't even let him finish. You might be right. You're right. How did I not? I love her so much. I'm an abomination. Fuck. Fuck, fuck, fuck. She twisted him. She took him from me. Okay, maybe I twisted him first. He was religious. I knew that. He probably would have agreed with Nora had he been alive. But he was wrong. Their religion is wrong. And now he's dust and he won't ever get to. You have to destroy me. No. When she wakes up I'll see her face and... Yes. I mean it. Send me to the Watcher. The others too. Free us. Fuck you, Nora. I hiss. Am I crying? Vida, he asked us to do this, Nora snaps back. You were messing with his head. Bentley and I agreed on this. This is beyond fucked up. They need to move on to the afterlife. You never told us you were. You shattered him, you stupid bitch. I shriek. Even if your god wasn't going to eat him anyway, there is nothing left. Everything was linked to the bones and you crushed them and now he's gone forever. He doesn't get an afterlife anymore. Pangs of hostility behind me caused me to tear my gaze off of Nora, rotating my inner eye completely around to stare at Matteo and Netta. The latter has knocked and drawn her bow, face furious as she aims at Nora. Matteo coils towards Bentley, power gathering in his soul as his massive body slithers forward, shaking with grief. A split second later, Orville draws his bow as well, aiming towards Matteo. Penelope, who has been napping even though she is not technically supposed to, rouses quickly, blinking twice at the scene and scowling with the sort of bland irritation she might have at an overcooked meal. "What did I miss?" she grumbles. "Two of yours killed one of ours," Netta growls, air magic already starting to swirl around her arrow. "We'll see how they like it," Mateo hisses. "Netta, hey, don't." Orville begs, swallowing nervously. "Don't make me fight you. You're being mind-controlled," Nora shouts, drawing and raising her shield. "Can't you see that? He asked us to," Bentley whines. "He was in so much pain. He was shaking. I just thought, everyone shut up and stand down," I shout. Mateo halts immediately, but Netta twitches, fighting to keep her bow drawn. "Down, Netta," I snap again, and with a shudder she releases the tension in her body, pointing her weapon back down to the ground. "Do you see what I mean?" Nora hisses, gesturing to me. "Fuck you," I fume, turning my eye back her way. "I just saved your life, again, and you're fucking demonizing me for it. Again. Do you think I asked for this? Do you think I did this on purpose? This is just how my power works. So you knew that your power mind controls people and you just didn't tell us?" Nora asks. "Is that supposed to make me feel better?" Damn it, I thought it was a good thing that Nora was finally starting to talk with the Revenants and treat them like people, but it was just giving her the chance to figure out how weird being a Revenant makes them. I thought it would be unfair to trap them inside me rather than let them walk around since we're in the forest anyway and everybody knows about them. Why do I keep getting my ass bitten off whenever I try to do something nice? "I'm sorry," Bentley squeaks, somehow seeming so tiny despite his massive frame. "Alan was just so scared and Nora was freaking out and Alan begged us, he begged us to, so correct me if I'm mistaken here," Penelope chimes in, stretching and adjusting her armor as she stands. "But you're saying that someone requested an assisted suicide, someone who hadn't wanted to die mere minutes beforehand, someone that you definitively identified as being mentally compromised. And you said yes?" Bentley tries to shrink even further. "It's not a fucking suicide, he's already dead." Nora snaps. "Oh, shove it 5 feet up your ass." Netta barks. "I'm missing an eye and I can see that's bullshit." "You can't fucking tell me that Vida isn't messing with your head," Nora counters. "She literally just forced you to do something. Right in front of all of us." "Yeah, you're fucking welcome," I growl. "Of course I know that, I'm not an idiot," Netta spits back, and she probably would have spat more literally if she was still capable. "I just don't see why that means you get to stomp my teammates' bones into powder like a watcher damn barbarian. There are reasons for what we do, for the laws we have and the policies we follow. Hunters destroy the undead because the souls are tortured and violent, a danger to everyone. Do I look tortured or violent to you? You just aimed above my head. And you just murdered my team leader. What's your fucking point? We're all drowning in shit now, and I don't know how to swim." Part of me just wants to rip the souls out of Nora and Bentley and call it even, but I push that part down and bottle it up. What went wrong here? How can I make it right? I don't understand enough about people to know what Nora wants from me, but I have to try something. "Nora, if you had talked to me about this we could have worked something out," I try. "Then why didn't you say anything?" she counters. "Well, I was afraid you'd freak out," I defend honestly. "Which you did. I freaked out because you didn't tell me. Why the fuck would you expect me to not freak out when I learn my friend has mind control powers? I don't have mind control powers. I insist. That's conomancy, and I can't do that. It's just that when I bring someone back from the dead, I have to take out a bit of my own soul and put it in them to make them work. So, you've been mutilating your own soul." Nora yelps. "Vida, we need to get you in to see someone that can help you." "You will do no such thing," Mateo warns, slithering closer. "Vida has made herself clear on the matter. Seeching the monster you made out of a human on me is not going to change my opinion on how badly you need help," Nora growls, activating her talent in anticipation of an attack. "I am not searching anyone. I insist. And don't call him a monster. My revenants are just instinctively loyal, okay? It's not on purpose. I'm trying to figure out how to fix it. You should just be letting the Watcher fix it. Nora snaps at me. What, like you? You didn't leave anything for the Mist Watcher to collect. I saved his soul, but you shattered it. You can't just smack someone hard enough that they don't go to the afterlife, Vita. I narrow my eyes, lips twisting into a snarl. She really thinks she knows better than me here, huh? You wanna bet? I asked coldly, walking towards her. Are you going to let the Animancer educate you on how fucking souls work? Or are you going to keep acting like I don't know as much as a random idiot reaching in a fancy hat? Vita, Nora breathes. Don't make me. Don't make you what? I stare her down for a few moments, remembering to use the eyes in my head to make sure she knows it. Then I walk right past her, pull a shard from my body, and stick it into a nearby tree. The web of veins extruded from my shard twist up into each and every branch and down through the deepest root. Bodies are just objects, I tell her, projecting my voice so everyone can hear. They are special only in that when a soul is inside one, the Mist Watcher doesn't reach up to eat it. But I can technically make a zombie out of anything, as long as it isn't already alive in the way that matters. Bent towards me, drag. I order my tree and it obeys, branches creaking and crackling as every single one of them attempts to twist in my direction. My team watches in silence, having finally shut the fuck up. Zombies don't use eyes to see, they don't use ears to hear, they don't use noses to smell, and they don't use muscles to move. A tree can't normally move itself, but as you can see this one moves anyway because I gave it a soul, and the structure of that soul is shaped to snake through it, anchor to it, meld with it and become tangible to it and only it. The soul moves the vessel. But the vessel also moves the soul. I am furious, and I take my time with the lecture just to give myself something to help calm me down. She doesn't believe souls can break, that souls can become irrecoverable. Nora thinks she did a good thing, rather than dooming a kind man to permanent non-existence. I can't fucking believe her. I reach up to a branch, grab it, and break it off. Snap, I say. Oops, this part of the soul is broken now. Disconnected. Gone. Most souls can recover from that. Living souls aren't damaged when the body is damaged because they don't act like this, at least not usually. But in the undead, the soul is tied to each and every bit. So when you smash too much of it. I glance up at the tree. Bend, I order again. My revenants flinch, both of them twisting their bodies a little to fulfill the letter of the order, but the drag I made from this tree has no such intelligence. The branches creak as they twist, and soon they start to break. Snapping and shattering, one by one at first, but soon they start to clatter like a waterfall to the forest floor in a horrible cacophony of death. A second of this passes until finally the tension is too much and the strength of the remaining soul is too little. My shard shatters, the tree jerking suddenly back into its prior position, well over half its limbs splintered on the ground. A small price to pay to make my point heard. No one speaks. No one even moves. It breaks, I explain. You can't put a fucking soul back together like a bunch of puzzle pieces, Nora. Souls can be sturdy. Souls can recover from a lot of damage. But when I say a soul is shattered, what I mean is that the constituent parts left of what it once was have become so small that they no longer hold form. They lose whatever fragments of memory and personhood they used to possess, returning to nothing but raw energy that can be slurped up like the last bits of stew in a bowl. That is why you can smack someone hard enough to deny them the afterlife. That is what you fucking did to Alan. That is why you needed to talk to someone that actually knows what they are doing instead of assuming that that person is you. I glower at everyone, Penelope having taken particular interest in my rant while the others just seem shocked and mildly mortified. I let the silence stretch, having already said everything I intend to. Fine, we'll do things your way, Nora manages quietly. I'm sorry. We just did what he asked us to do, what we thought was right. Yeah. She glances over to Bentley with that, who nods in agreement despite his obvious horror at the entire situation. He asked us to free the others too, Nora says slowly, but I guess you're right that it's not his call. I'll back off. You expect us to just let you get away with it? Mateo growls. He was my best friend. Seconded on that, you overgrown bitch, Netta agrees sharply. Nora glances at me and I scoff with disgust. Now she wants me to save her with mind control? As Netta and Mateo tense for combat, however, Orville, Nora, and a hesitant Bentley do the same. I'm tempted to just let them all fight it out. It's not like my revenants would lose and the whole thing would officially become not my problem. However, as I glance around I notice behind me that Penelope shakes her head, ever so subtly. Her soul is insisting that no, fighting here would be a terrible idea. I suck on the inside of my lip and think for a second. Yeah, it's not exactly a great look if Penelope and I come back as the only survivors. Could the Templars use that as an excuse to pound through the wall of bureaucracy Penelope and her fiancé set up and start officially investigating me? It's probably not worth the risk. Sorry Mateo, Netta, but I do expect you to let her get away with it. Or at least keep her alive. On the condition, of course, that she agrees to not tell anyone when we get back to Skyhope. Vida, are you fucking serious? Nora hisses at me. Why would I not be serious? If you go and blab to the church about me, I die. It seems like a pretty serious situation to me. You're not going to fucking die. Nora insists. The Templars aren't evil maniacs. The church can help you, Vida. You're a victim, they'll understand that. Nora, I am Penelope's slave because Gildra the fucking Annihilator picked me up by the throat while a Templar captain prepared to skewer me through the spine. I can confirm that, Penelope agrees blandly. After we were nearly killed by the Mistwatcher, the High Templar blamed Vida for causing it and would have executed her on the spot if I hadn't intervened. Well, we don't have to go to Gildra at all, Nora, I intone dangerously. Do you agree to keep this secret or not? For that matter, Bentley? Orville? Penelope? Are any of you going to get me fucking killed? After only a few seconds, Orville shakes his head no and relaxes his body. I figured he would fall in my camp, considering how much he cares for Netta. Bentley caves soon after, completely crumpling under the social pressure. I'm confident he'll keep the secret. I of course already know where Penelope stands, I just didn't want to single her out via exclusion. After nearly half a minute, Nora agrees to not tell anyone as well. We pack up and we start the last leg of the journey back to Skyhope. The only problem being that Nora was lying. An hour later, I ask her again if she plans to tell anyone. She says no, still lying. Half an hour after that, I ask again. Lying. When we're almost to the edge of the forest I ask her one final time. Watcher's eyes, Vida, no. I'm not going to tell anyone. Why the fuck do you keep asking? Because I can see your soul, Nora, I sigh. I told you guys that already. I can tell when you don't believe what you say. Vida, come on, don't give me that shit. I won't sell you out or betray you or whatever you're afraid of. I step in front of her, halting our progress through the forest. Nora, this is a matter of life and death for me. You know that. I need you to give me an honest answer. I did, Nora snaps. Vida, I'm serious. I feel you making justifications, I growl. You writhe and twist, you feel hard and hollow. You're lying. Vida. She starts. Give me an honest answer or I will kill you, I tell her frankly. Silence. Everyone turns to stare at me. Shock, grim resignation, fear. Agreement from Penelope, which is reassuring. Still, I don't want to do this. The last thing I want is to do this. But I will not sit back and let her get me killed, even if it means getting her first. I cannot die. Not when I'm the only hope for Penta, for Angelian, for Lynn, for Rowan, for all the kids, for every human I've picked up and stored inside me. I will not let their souls get crushed to dust by the monster that waits below. So I will not, must not die. What do you expect me to say? Nora asks me, stepping back. I step forward, tendrils coiled and ready. Tell me the truth. Change your mind before you say no again, Or tell me the honest yes and let me convince you otherwise. You just want me to stand here and wait for you to convince me that animancy is okay? She asks incredulously. Yes, I say simply. I don't want to kill you, Nora, but I will not let you kill me. Hey, isn't this a little extreme? Orville hedges. She's making it about me or her, I snap. What do you expect me to do, fall over and wait to get skewered by Templars? She could be telling the truth, Bentley stammers. What if you're wrong? I'm not wrong, I answer through clenched teeth. I am very, very tired of having to explain that I'm not wrong. Vida, Nora pleads, reaching a hand up towards my shoulder. I promise you, the moment she touches me her talent activates, solidifying and hardening every joint in my armor. My whole body freezes like a statue as she kneels, bringing my body to the ground. I'm well aware that no amount of straining will allow my limbs to move the hardened shell she has created around me, even with my enhanced strength. As I'm laid carefully on my back, my revenants burst into action immediately. Yet they're too close to her. She activates her hardening talent on their bodies, something not possible for her with living flesh, but apparently easy enough to use on two dead revenants at once. Her talent is strained to the absolute limit, but even the massive Mateo falls. Bentley. Nora orders. Pull them closer so I can touch them, or I won't be able to keep this up. We're going to get Vida to someone that can help and keep her safe. Okay? No one has to. What did you expect this to accomplish? I ask, and rip out her soul. Silence falls along with her body as I stand back up, cracking my neck. I nestle her inside me, carefully inserting her in that special place right next to Angelion and Penta. Nora had been my friend, one of the few I have ever had. What? I snap at my team, refusing to cry. I warned her. Chapter 90. What did you just do? Bentley stands shaking, so overwhelmed by confusion and terror that he denies the obvious reality I made sure to keep explicitly clear. Nora's corpse lies face down in the grass and dirt of the forest, collapsed like a doll after I cut her strings. The inflexibility of her armor forces her into an awkwardly slumped-over position, her knee caught under her belly and her arm splayed at an awkward angle that keeps her chest up off the ground. Only after a slight nudge from my boot does she finish her collapse. I killed her, I say clearly. Orville looks away. There's a slight spasm in Bentley's body as he suppresses an urge to vomit. She was our friend, Bentley whispers. Yes, I agree. She was. But she was going to get me and lots of people I care about killed. She wouldn't listen. Orville starts, his breath catching. It's so sudden. Just like that and she's gone? Sudden? I warned her. She just didn't listen to that either. Wasn't there some other way? Orville presses. I scowl at him. I tried using words. I'm not good at words, you both know that. But I mean what I say. She was going to get me killed. It was her or me if she kept pushing. I told her. I told all of you. And none of the rest of you said or did a damn thing. That shuts them up. Fine. All I need from them is to shut up. So now I have to ask again, I growl. Is anyone else going to make the same mistake? I'm going to start getting used to being stared at this rate. Orville takes a few moments, staring at what was once Nora, before slowly shaking his head. Before, he just didn't think I was in the wrong. Now there's a bit of fear mixed in, but he's smart. I don't think he'll betray me. Bentley, unfortunately, is not smart. But at this point he's broken. I watch in real time as his mind starts to unravel and snap at the seams. It's not as dramatic as it sounds. Just the tearing apart of a fundamentally good person who until now saw everyone else the same way. Someone who genuinely believed that there would always be a way to resolve our conflicts. Someone who thought his axe would only ever be for big, scary monsters that thump around in forests and nightmares. Frankly, I'm not opposed to disabusing him of that ridiculous notion. So long as he doesn't seem willing to raise that axe to me, I don't care. And as I stare at him, I know there isn't a chance he'd risk losing another one of us to this. That would be too far. The puppy is still loyal. Good, I say, nodding. Next item on the agenda would be the body, then. I have an idea, but it involves Matteo and I don't want to accidentally force him into agreeing. I glance at Penelope, then indicate Nora's corpse with my head, hoping she has a similar train of thought. She smiles. Matteo, I realize this is somewhat distasteful, but would you be so kind as to take a bite out of Nora for us? She asks. Good old Penelope. I can always count on her. I mean, that's super brutal and not what I was going to say at all, but it works. Matteo squirms uncomfortably, which is honestly pretty cute to watch on the 20-foot-long murder serpent. I see the logic, but distasteful does not begin to cover it, he rumbles. It would not be a proper hunter single quotes SS burial. We should strip the armor, Nettle says. And then we should poison the body and use it as bait. A good hunter protects the city even in death. I look around, seeing a lot of nods of assent. A hunter's death. People who die in the city tend to be burned, but a hunter's body, already out in the forest, can be used for more. It's tempting to keep Nora's body. Perhaps much later, when I no longer have to worry about her, I can put her back in it. But there's just no way to justify dragging the body back and bringing it with the others. How are we to make the case that Nora died to a monster when we have her corpse, completely intact, brought back with us to the city? We'll probably have to throw away a fair chunk of her armor for the same reason. Well, we could get Matteo to munch that probably. A lot less distasteful to smash the armor than it is to bite a human body, I suppose. I personally don't see the fuss, but I have to agree using the corpse as bait is a better idea anyway. Penelope apparently does too, as she heads over to the body to cast on it, filling it with who knows what sort of terrifying cocktail of diseases. I should still offer what I was going to, so I decide on how I'm going to word it and then do so. Before we get too far into this, I was actually going to ask if you want Nora's body, Matteo, I say. He has been getting a lot more comfortable as a big spooky monster these past few days, but I figure I should still ask if he prefers a humanoid form. Everybody just gives me a really weird look though, including Matteo. I guess that's a no? I hedge. I would be less than comfortable in the body of a teenage girl, Matteo says slowly. And I suspect no one else would be comfortable with that either. For many reasons, Netta agrees, disapproval radiating at me from all sides. Okay, geez, I was just asking, I grumble defensively. It's not like she's gonna be using it. Bentley starts to cry, and I take that as my cue to shut up. Humans are weird. I wait for Penelope to finish casting before addressing the next item we have to take care of before finally heading home from this bullshit journey. Matteo, Netta, what do you guys want to do? I can keep your souls safe until we find somewhere safe you can live. You can hang out in the forest if you want, or you could die, I guess. Forest, Netta answers immediately, and Matteo nods his agreement. Didn't I just say? A good hunter protects the city even in death. I nod. Good on them. Okay. You can't last forever like this, you will eventually degrade. We'll have to meet up every once in a while so I can feed you and keep you on your feet. You might be able to recharge by killing other undead, though, if you find any. Basically, smash them and you can take their soul dust. Otherwise, I can give you more of my soul to feed you. Don't worry, it doesn't really hurt me. They nod. You're of course free to come with me if you want, Orville, I tell him. Instead of visiting my family all the time, we can visit yours. He sighs, glancing between people, corpses, and those who are both. Not quite how I imagined it would go, Orville mutters to himself. I never had much use for all the money the Hunters Guild kept throwing at me, Netta grunts, but legally it's all yours now, Orville. My will is at the guild and it says you are your own man. He frowns. Thank you. Won't my heritage fuck with that? He asks. I'll make sure it doesn't, Penelope dismisses. There's no one better at abusing bureaucracy than my fiancé. You'll find the proper paperwork in your hands, Orville. one way or another. He nods oh thank you and we finally depart for home, Bentley remaining silent for the rest of the trip. I waved goodbye to Netta and Matteo, and before long the walls of Skyhope are in sight. Many of the guards watch me nervously as we wait at the gate, Penelope grumbling about the inadequacies of the biomancer checking us for parasites. I grin at one of the gate workers giving me a worried look to try and put them at ease, but he jumps a little and quickly looks away. I guess that backfired. Oh well. We trudge through the streets of the city, returning to the guild and letting Orville give the report to our grim-faced branch leader. The loss of Netta, Alan, and Matteo is a heavy blow to the already struggling guild. I mostly don't bother to pay attention, a bit on edge from being watched by so many of my fellow scouts in the building. I know I feel dangerous and all, but this is getting ridiculous. When Orville is done and the branch leader grimly instructs us to stand by, Bentley finally speaks up. I would like to resign, sir, he stammers. The branch leader seems entirely unsurprised, too exhausted to put up an argument even with our lack of staffing. He's not the kind of man to beg someone to go die for him if they didn't volunteer. I've always liked our branch leader, frankly. He's a good man, trying his best to keep our city together in the places he can. Bentley's request is agreed to immediately, and our former teammate walks out, leaving Orville, Penelope, and I without anyone to act as a frontline. Well, I suppose I could do it, but I'm happy to not get sent on missions for a while. That one was rough. So Bentley leaves. Penelope begrudgingly makes her way to the infirmary, where I can feel Claretta currently managing things. Fulvia is nowhere within my range. Orville heads to his room, and I to mine, quickly stripping out of my armor before digging Roscoe out from under my pillow. I sit down on my bed, squeezing my stuffed bird as hard as I can, tentacles poking and prodding the inert souls inside my body. I don't feel like myself. The starving, tiny girl who panicked and tried to give the soul back to a man who nearly beat me to death is a distant, embarrassing memory. Nora's bed taunts me from across the room, thoughts of what I could have said to just make her listen dancing in the back of my mind, arguments replaying over and over. Nora. Huge, beautiful, reliable Nora. She was my friend. She was my teammate. She was my lifeline. A good person, through and through. But she just didn't believe me where it counted. She couldn't take the one step I needed her to take to stay friends. And now she's dead. I should feel sad, but I'm mostly just angry. Furious at her stubbornness and her stupidity, her inability to just trust me with my own life and the seriousness of the things I do. I suppose in some ways I can hardly blame her for not believing I know what I'm doing. So often, I really don't. Things just feel so out of hand, so out of my control. I keep trying to make the best choices I can, do the right thing as often as possible, and everything keeps blowing up in my face. I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know how to be the Vita that grabs the reins of her own life that I want to be. It just feels like every step ends in disaster. At some point, I'm curled up on top of the bed, head on my pillow. At some point, I'm crying again. I hate this all so much. I hate my life, I hate my body, I hate this city, and I hate everything and everyone who keeps getting in my way. I wish I could just be free, take some time to think, let everything slow down so I can figure out what I even am before deciding on all the things I need to do. But life just doesn't want to wait for me. I fall asleep, my pathetic body exhausted after days of fighting and travel with minimal rest. When I finally wake up, the darkness of an island above blackening my room, it's not to an emergency. It's just to the realization that for the last day and a half I seem to have forgotten to pee. I extract myself from bed with an uncomfortable grumble, my soul sight unbothered by the lack of light as I make my way through the building and to the bathroom outside. I must spend at least half an hour there between exhaustion and constipation. I try to focus, trying to do what Penelope demanded I do and pay attention to my body. I can't just ignore this disgusting bag of flesh and organs that I regretfully require to house my true self. It used to be so much easier, even a month ago, but now it feels like trying to scrape myself raw. It can't ever truly be the same, not with the veins of energy extruding from my core and wrapping through each and every nook and cranny in the meat sack other people see as me. In some ways I seem stuck between either feeling too little of my body or feeling far, far too much. My soul wraps around my heart, feeling it beat. It twists within my stomach, the sloshing acid inside far more apparent to me now than could possibly be helpful. The kinds of things my mundane senses are explicitly designed to ignore are all too apparent to the new senses in my soul. And yet, the information that's actually helpful, the things my body needs to know in order to ensure that I function correctly, like pain and hunger and dizziness and bloat. These things do not have an equivalent soul sense. It's not that I'm avoiding paying attention to what my body tells me, it's that I seem to be forgetting how. I don't want to admit that, but I am. Like Nora said, I'm just getting more Vita-like. I don't know what that means, but I hope it hurries up. The euphoria I got from achieving this stage of my metamorphosis wore off days ago. Only the displeasure is left, the irritation of not knowing what I'm supposed to be but knowing without a doubt that this isn't it. I let air out of my lungs, and perhaps against my better judgment I delved back into the deep blue abyss of my soul. If I forget to breathe and start suffocating to death, hopefully falling into the toilet will wake me up. I pull at the mana, filling the spiritual veins and capillaries snaking through me as I trace their path backwards to the ocean of my true self. The channel is still too thin, too far. But for a single short minute, I can bask in the one part of myself that doesn't feel hideous and wrong. My meat falls forward, and with a gasp of breath I return to the grim immediacy of the bathroom. Finishing my business, I stand up and prepare to depart, a scowl on my face. Something powerful, dangerous, and very annoying has approached me in the time I was too distracted to notice, although I don't sense ill intentions from them, so perhaps it's why I didn't bother to acknowledge it. I open the bathroom door, willing myself to maintain focus on my body. "Do you often stalk young women using the restroom?" I ask, staring up at the sky. Or just at sky, rather. "Please excuse my terrible timing," the mob boss answers, floating in the air a solid 10 feet above the rooftops. "We both seem to have quite busy schedules, and it has been so difficult arranging a conversation with you." His soul just radiates ego. In some ways it's an invigorating sort of feeling, an arrogance built on a powerful enough backing to be almost attractive. Put a big emphasis on that almost, though. Even the stupid meek part of me that occasionally, annoyingly cares about such things finds little to appreciate in his almost comically feminine frame. He's floating at an angle that lets the coming light of dawn silhouette his body, I think for dramatic effect. Yet all it does is make me realize that he has fuller hips than I do. Not that it's much of a contest, but still. "That's too bad," I say. "Good night." Then I walk back into the guilt house while he's still surprised, letting him fume. I'm tired, and fuck if I'm dealing with him before getting at least another 3 hours of sleep. Tope continued. Thanks for listening.